Welcome back, everybody. This is episode number 21 of the Off the Court podcast, and I have a very special guest, a person I've been looking forward to having on here, been wanting to have on here for the last couple of months. He's a 6'4" point guard who has been on the rise in the rankings here in Arizona as of the last year. He has been on a tear in both the grind session and the CAA conference basketball schedules, dominating teams on both ends of the floor. He currently holds offers from NAU, Seattle University, UTSA, and Western Carolina, and it definitely is not going to slow down anytime soon. We got Eduprize's AJ Thomas on the show today. Appreciate you coming on, man, and being able to chop it up with me. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem, man. And you know, I'm sure I don't know if you've listened to the show ever, but my whole goal with the show is to showcase kids from the Valley who do not get credit they deserve for the type of talent they have. You are a clear example of that with how you are able to play the game. I know you have a handful of offers there, but how you play, you need to be talked about more. You need to be showcased more, and I hope this podcast does it for you. But let's get right into this. Um,
Appreciate it.
I do want to ask you this question first. When did basketball become the thing you wanted to pursue with your life and with your and what you wanted to do with your career?
Um, so I started playing basketball late, not late, but like when I was like 10. And then the next year, like I started off, obviously I was like not as good, right? I was bad.
Right.
And then I was like a center or something because my dad was tall, so everybody thought I was gonna be tall. So I started off as a center. And then the next year I started playing point guard. And then the year after that, so 2 years into playing basketball, I was ranked top 75 in California.
Mm.
So once I became good and seeing the rankings, and I realized that this was something I could really like be good in the future. Like
Hmm.
so, I just started pursuing basketball and realized this is what I wanted to do.
And you just said California. So you moved
Hmm.
from California to Arizona. Is there
Yeah.
any specific reason behind that? I'm sure it was more just a family decision, but why, especially
Um,
because California is looked at as like the West Coast
yeah.
mecca of basketball. Why you guys where did you move in California and why was it Arizona for you guys and your family?
So yeah, usually California is the mecca of basketball, but where I grew up in California was Palmdale, so it's like a small city, and there hasn't been like a lot of people out it. Maybe Paul George who went to Pete Knight, but everybody else is like nobody really comes out of Palmdale.
Mm.
And my dad thought the opportunity would be better in Arizona, and there was a coach working at Eduprize who recruited me to come play, and then he was released for whatever reason. And then CP took over Eduprize. So I just decided to stay. And then my dad took over. And yeah, that's why I came over.
We'll talk about Eduprize in a little bit because, of course, want to get the
Mm-hmm.
backstory of why there, and things like that. But we have seen in recent years, Arizona's become a hotbed for talent, especially in basketball. I think really, at least for me, it started with Marvin Bagley when he was at Corona his freshman year, and it just seems like it skyrocketed in the last like 3 to 4 years. You got guys like Koa Ant, Cam Holmes, and Mason McGee in the AIA. Then you got guys like you and KJ. Victorious Miller, and all the other guys in the prep basketball scene that have really taken over as well.
Yeah.
In your eyes, what has changed in the last few years that has made the depth of talent here become so deep?
Um, I think, you know, all the team unity was a good thing in Arizona because they four-peated or well, they won and then had the back to back and then the three-peat and the four-peat. So I think it was just bringing attention to Arizona basketball, and then people started coming to Arizona,
Hmm.
and then high school wise, um, when Koa started blowing up, um, that really put Arizona basketball on the map, and then everybody else who's good in the AIA, started putting Arizona basketball on the map.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting when you look at it, because especially that Perry team, it's so weird because like there was Cody and Dylan Anderson the year I found out about it. I think that was Koa's freshman year.
Mm,
But then I find out about guys like Ant, and I think Hamilton was good that year too. And then you got McClintock with EJ
mhm.
and those guys, and they were kind of blowing up the AIA scene. But now you got Millennium, which is it seems like a whole other powerhouse
Yeah.
um, on their own. And you talked about the AIA too. Um, you played St. Mary's in
Hmm.
like a preseason tournament type of thing before the season started because you already played prep. Being able to go up against a team like St. Mary's that is the AIA, what are the differences you've seen, especially going up against a top team in the AIA compared to kind of the prep teams you'd play on a regular basis?
Playing against top teams in the AIA like Millennium and St. Mary's and Desert Mountain, they play good basketball overall. So it's like it's well coached teams. And then prep school, I mean, there's obviously some well coached teams like Bella Vista, Dream City, AZ Compass,
For
but for the
sure.
most part, it's like it feels like AAU. Like it's not really as fundamental as AIA basketball.
Mm. You talked about Unity a little bit
Mhm.
a few minutes ago. You were able to play on the 17U team for the Nike EYBL circuit. I was
Mhm.
able to watch y'all play when there was the Arizona stop. I
Mhm.
talked to Nate George about it when I had him on here. The game I saw was against Team CP3, which
Mhm.
I think had Drake Powell, who's like a top 10 recruit, and Isaiah Evans, who's going to Duke. What
Mhm.
was that whole experience like for you being able to get your name out there more and play against more top talent around the country, not just in Arizona?
Yeah. It was good, to see like what all the hype was about. And like it's
Mm,
good playing against those high recruited and well talked about players. So it was a good experience. It was fun, and me being younger playing up, um, I felt like it helped me develop my game a lot more, playing
hmm
smarter. You know, usually I'm a bigger guard, but on
Right.
the EYBL playing 17U, I was kind of undersized, so I had to change my game a little bit. So yeah, it was a good experience.
What was some of the biggest takeaways? I think that in of itself is
Mm,
very like probably it was probably very interesting for you too because being at 6'4", I saw you play last week, which we'll get into against Bella Vista. You are a bigger guard in,
mm,
all the other types of leagues and probably circuits around, but being in that EYBL, I know Elliot Cadeau was a guy you went up against. I
mm.
believe he's probably like between 6'3" and 6'5", super athletic too. But what were some of the biggest takeaways you had from the sessions and then playing it? You guys played at Peach Jam too. So
Yeah.
what was some of the takeaways you had just around Peach Jam and then like all the multiple different stops you had?
Um, Definitely like you have to be a good shooter being an undersized guard because it's hard. It's hard to score against 7-footers in the paint all day. So, working on my mid range jump shot, 3-point jump shot, being more of a point guard on the EYBL because on the EYBL, everybody like
Everyone's point guard.
everybody's on the same level pretty much. Everybody wants the same amount of shots as everybody for the most part.
Yeah.
So, good ball movement, playing as a team. It's all takeaways I had and things I had to work on.
Yeah, I think it's interesting too. I don't know what other club experiences you've had, but I know something the EYBL does is like four quarters instead of two
Yeah,
halves,
yeah,
which I'm sure probably helped prepare you more, especially for this season, because I know you at Eduprize, like every other high school, plays the four quarters.
yeah.
But you talked a little bit about too how you had to become an even smarter basketball player, being
Mhm.
younger and having to kind of maybe in your mind you grew up a little bit faster playing against guys that are going to be playing at the Division 1 level at a high level too.
Yeah.
And I think your basketball IQ might be one of the highest I've seen at the high school level that I've been able to see in person. It seems like you're smarter than pretty much everyone on the court. How you play. Where did you learn that style of basketball, having that high IQ and that smartness to your game?
Honestly, just watching a lot of basketball, watching what the NBA, like what the pros look for, and then watching my film and what passes I make and what passes I could have made. So the next game, when I'm in the same situation, I know what pass is gonna be there already.
Mm.
I don't even have to think about it. I can just throw it. So I think just watching basketball is what helped my IQ.
There's a lot of different ways too. I feel like I can describe your play style besides, the IQ. You're extremely athletic. You talk about, it's hard to shoot over 7 footers in the EYBL. You seem to not have a problem trying to jump over them with how you're able to you're able to dunk
Yeah.
sometimes. You're great defensively. You got quick hands, so you're able to get those steals too. An incredible court vision. I have your stats up here: 8.5 assists on the CAA circuit, and then 6 assists on the grind session. Um,
Mhm.
for people that may be finding out about you for the first time right now, how would you describe how you play?
I think I think I'm a shot. Like I would describe my game as a shot maker. Like that's what I do best. Like I can I can pass, and me being the point guard, like the ball's always in my hand, so I always have to make not. I always try to make the right reads,
Mm-hmm.
but it being in my nature that I'm a score first type of guard is it just kind of opens everything up for me because if I don't have the shot that I want, I know, like I said before, I know where the pass is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really more I'm a shot maker, but I can create for my team and make my team better.
Yeah, that you definitely do. I want to talk about a little bit of your team now. I had one of your I had one of your teammates on a while back, KJ Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
He talked about how you guys complement each other really well, and I would definitely agree with that. Even last week when I saw you play, you have a calm demeanor. It seems like about you, like you're talking about you're a score first guard, but you can also dish it too. And you were dishing it all over the court that night. And he's very emotional, talks a lot of mess, trying to get
Mm-hmm.
the big play. And I think you guys just complement each other really well. Having another guard like that beside you, what has it been like for you this last 2 years with him at Eduprize?
Um, when everything's going good, like you said, like he's an emotional player, which is good and bad. Because when everything's going bad, it's hard to keep him calm and keep him motivated. Because when he's motivated, he's without a doubt one of the best players on the court.
Yeah, 100%.
And when he's not in his head, so it's good having him on the team, or it's good having him as a teammate when everything's going right. Um, if I'm off and if I'm off, can't hit shots, I try to find KJ. Um, and then when he's off, I can also go off for
Hmm.
20, 30. So it's good. It's good having a teammate like that.
You have had, we were texting beforehand. You kind of just tell me about, these are my two stats from my two different schedules, playing on
Mm-hmm.
CAA and then the grind session. For
Mm-hmm.
anyone that may not know, it's a prep league. I don't know if it's country like nationally. I do know a couple of teams here locally. You got a lot of teams in California, Colorado, Albuquerque. Um, but you have put up huge numbers, including a triple double about a month ago over Albuquerque Prep. You've received a lot of, it seems like, standout awards and recognition and stuff like that. What areas have you seen your game improve the most since being able to play on this type of circuit and league?
Um, I think my shot making ability, because like I said, EYBL, you couldn't really get to the basket because there was so many big centers. So it's
Hmm.
kind of like that on the grind session too. So playing on the grind session, I really got to see my jump shot develop because that's where that's where I was utilizing it most. Playing in the CAA, I can kind of get to the basket more whenever I want to. But on the grind session, I had to rely on my jump shot making. And then another thing is playing on grind session. Um, it's like it's like 9 minutes instead of eight. So it's long. The games are longer.
Hmm.
So um, controlling the pace of the game, making sure everybody's not gassed out by the fourth quarter, so we can
Yeah.
keep playing. Is another thing I tried. Is another thing I tried to work on, and that's pretty much it. Playing above the rim.
Yeah. What's it been like though playing on that circuit? I got some tweets up here and just some other teams for like just other people so they know. DNA Prep was one, Albuquerque Prep, like I said, Utah Prep, um, Colorado Prep. Um, Dream City is on this too, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. What has it been like being able to play on that circuit? I know Dream City, a lot of nationally top, like ranked guys. I know DNA Prep has a lot too. What has it been like being able to play on that circuit? And do you feel like playing in the EYBL helped better prepare you to go up against top talent, not be maybe so intimidated like others might be in that type of situation?
Yeah. It's good playing on a grind session. More it's more organized than playing in the CAA.
Hmm.
So you can't go out there and play and have a bad start because you'll end
Mm,
up losing by 30. So it's like you gotta play the right way all the time
yeah.
to stay in the game. And then playing in the EYBL, it helped me be less intimidated. Um I started realizing like everybody's the same. We're it's the more the high rated players sometimes have egos, don't play as hard. Like there's some dogs that I've played, but most of them, just go out there kind of relaxed.
Mm.
So, if you outwork them, you stand out more than they do.
That's a very interesting perspective. I've had a lot of kids on here that have played in the EYBL, and
Mm.
they don't say that. They say,
Yeah.
it's tough. It's like it's grit and grind. It's everyone's trying to go at it, but I'm not surprised by that either.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of conversations with scouts that are just like, this guy's top, like, top 10 recruit, but he's got no NBA upside. Like he
Yeah.
would get burned immediately in the league. And I was even that when I was at Hoop Hall, I got to sit with one for an entire day and just like pick his brain about stuff. And hearing that from you, it actually says a lot about what he was saying too. So yeah, I absolutely love that. I do want to get into Eduprize though, y'all season. I don't know your record exactly, but before we do that, um, moving from California to Arizona, why was it Eduprize? I'm feel like, a lot of kids move out of state, they probably just go the public school route, and
Mhm.
go, especially with you living out in Gilbert, that Gilbert Mesa area, there's a lot of good schools out there for basketball in the public school. But why was Eduprize the right place for you and your family?
Yeah. There was a coach here before, who recruited me to come out here, and just before he recruited me, they had won a state championship, and they were actually really good. Um they had a couple kids on there, Sean Robinson, and then UU. So they were really good, and I was gonna come in and play behind them, but something happened. Everybody ended up leaving, and then I was gonna leave, and then CP took over, and he was running Team Harden at the time, so it just seemed like a good opportunity, and I just stayed over at Eduprize.
Um, so let's talk about your season though. I've been able to watch you a handful of times.
Mhm.
I don't know what team it was for when you guys played PHH Prep. Was it that's their CAA team, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. And then I saw y'all play at Bella Vista. What
Mhm.
has this season been like for you as a junior, being able to play in these two different types of leagues? But what kind of has been what's been your guys' season like in your eyes at Eduprize?
Um, Eduprize season in the CAA has been like we have a target on our back.
Mm,
Like everybody wants to beat us for the most part. Like people will text me talking about they want to beat me or they're gonna beat me. And So CAH has pretty much been like we've had a target on our back, trying to defend our name, trying to win a state championship.
Mm.
And then what else did you ask?
Just the kind of the overall thoughts on the season so far. I know we've already kind of hit on grind session, so if you don't want to,
Yeah.
totally don't have to. But
Okay.
um,
Yeah.
just if you have any other thoughts on how kind of this season has gone for you guys.
Um, it's been good. We've been winning, but it could have been better. It could be better. We just got to stay more locked in. Stop stop learning the things that we learned at the beginning of the season. Like coach will teach us stuff, and then we just won't pick up on it, or we'll be lazy. And and I think we're a better team than that. And we should be picking up on this picking up on this type of stuff pretty quick. Um, Essentially because we've it's almost the same team from last year.
Mm-hmm.
We got me, KJ, Nate, which is the main like core of the group, and everybody usually just follows in place. So if we're not doing everything right, nobody else is going to do anything right.
Mm.
So we just got to be more locked in, more consistent, work on our defense. Biggest pickups from this season.
Yeah. I was actually that kind of falls into my next question. I know you've added a couple of guys
Mm-hmm.
this season too. I know Kingston is one of them. He came over from Skyline. The big guy from Compass Prep, I always forget his name. But I
Jalen.
know I know he was on Compass Black. And then one other kid that was in the AIA, and he came over. I totally forgot
Mm-hmm.
his name too. What's
Andre.
Andre? Yes,
Mm-hmm.
it is Andre. Um, what's been kind of you talked and hinted on like kind of the things coaches just trying to help you guys throughout the season, but what's kind of been some other challenges you guys have faced? Has there been any tough competition that you feel like was a big challenge for you guys? But yeah, what's kind of just been some of your biggest challenges you faced as a team collectively?
Um, Adversity when
Mm,
everything's going bad for whatever reason, we don't keep the same energy as in when everything's going good. Um, and that's one of the main reasons we why we lose. Like we'll go on a run, everybody be turned up. The other team will go on a run. It's like we just go quiet, and then the games end up getting out of hand. Not out of hand as in like 20, 30 point blowouts, but like they'll be up by 9 and in control of the game at that point.
hmm
And it's that's probably one of the biggest challenges. And then starting off the games right, and then ending the games, closing out games right. So for whatever reason, if we start off a game right, sometimes we won't close it out right. And then sometimes we'll start off terrible and be down 15, 20, come all the way back and just make the game harder for ourselves for no reason. So if we just, like I said before, stay consistent, stay on top of the things we're supposed to stay on top of, we'll beat a lot more teams. I think we beat ourselves.
I think that's a very wise answer, though. You know, especially I'm sure you're looked at as one of the leaders of the team. I know you, KJ, and
Mm-hmm.
Nate. You said you're more of the core guys of this crew.
Mm-hmm.
So to hear that, have that lot of perspective, I think it shows a lot though about your leadership too, of holding your guys accountable. Not
Yeah.
because I think I saw it too, because in that game against Bella Vista I was at last week, you picked up two early fouls. You guys were on I think it was like 8-0 run or 9
Mm-hmm.
nothing run at the start, and then you picked up the second. It kind of slowed down. They took over. They also had a lot more bigs than y'all. Um,
Yeah.
and I think since you guys are more of like a guard heavy team, more of a wing team, you don't really have a bona fide big. They were able to get a couple more rebounds, but the play of you, KJ, Nate, and you kind of your other guys around you, you're able to come back, cut the lead down, then take the lead and not
Yeah.
look back. So hearing answers like that, I think make you also stand out as a recruit too for college coaches, which I do want to get into. Talked about in the intro, a couple of schools that have offered you scholarships. Do you have any update to your recruitment as you kind of close things out here of other schools that You don't need to name any schools, but have other ones been reaching out, and what's kind of your recruitment been like throughout the season?
Um, Recruitment's it's been good. There has been like 4 or 5 other schools who have reached out
Mm.
during the season that haven't offered me yet. Haven't offered me, but still have reached out. And then the recruitment, as in the schools I have offers from, has been going really good. I do like all the schools, all the coaches. Everybody's really good. Everybody's good people. So it's been going really good.
That's great to hear, man. One of my last questions for you: who are the guys you try and emulate? You said you watch a lot of film. That's how you kind of got your basketball IQ. Is there any
Mm,
specific players that you watch and try to, pick things off of their game and add it to yours? I'm sure, you might get like SGA. That's someone I see a lot in your game, just with your IQ and your quickness. I could say Ant Edwards too, with just your explosiveness to the rim. I mean, when you got a lane, good luck to the big man that might be in the paint that you might go and
yeah,
dunk on. But
yeah.
is there anyone you watch film on a lot? Any specific things you try to look for in players to try and emulate on yours?
Um, it's 3 different players. I watched Donovan Mitchell,
Mm,
to the athleticism and the scoring guard. He's a really good scoring guard. He
hmm
uses his body really well. He's athletic. And then SGA, I watch try to imitate his pace. He uses his body really well. And then Tyrese Halliburton, I try to watch him to see how he reads the game, what he looks for in certain situations. So those are the three main guards I really watch.
those are great guys to watch, especially in this kind of next generation of guys that really
Mhm.
come up. Tyrese, a lot of people look at him as like the best guard and point guard in the league, maybe outside of Shea. And those are
Yeah,
two that have really taken the league by storm and are in small markets as well. They're not in these Miami's, LA, and I think it's really cool to see guys like
yeah.
that who were helped get their game improved by smaller market teams. Now they're absolutely dominating in the league. But AJ, I appreciate you coming on and being able to talk with me for a little bit. My last question I ask everybody on this to end the shows: favorite on court shoe? You're on the EYBL.
Um,
I'm sure you got some nice care packages. When I saw you play against PHH, you had the Duke Kyrie 2s on, which I was like, I haven't seen those in years.
yeah.
But what has been kind of the go-to shoes for you this season? What's kind of your favorite that you've been rocking with?
um, Probably my KDs. I'm not gonna say which KDs because I'm a gatekeeper, but it's these KDs that nobody has that are probably my favorite.
You're gonna have to tell me off air.
I
What
got
you got to tell me which ones, because that was the KD 6 Christmases were my first like hoop shoe that I had,
Yeah,
and now you see I got a signed jersey in the back of my room right here. But
yeah.
um, that's interesting. Is there you can't even say the model, you think, just for people?
Um, the KD Trey fives. I'm not. I'm not gonna say which version, but the KD Trey five.
Okay, I'm interested to hear this after the air. But AJ, I appreciate you coming on and chopping it up with us. Anything to shout out before we get out of here?
Nope. Thank you. Thanks for having me. Y'all go follow on the
Off
on
the
the court,
court. Off the
off
court.
the court, off the court podcast. Y'all go follow off the court podcast.
Like you said, everybody, make sure to go follow us on Instagram and TikTok at offthecourt.pod. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube here. Give us a thumbs up, whatever y'all want to do. But that's another episode of the Off Court Podcast. Thank you all for watching episode number 21.